Too hot to go for a skate or jump on the tools and work at home, so instead you get another Instagram post. So before completely ditching the way that you've been working up to a 1 rep max, just consider that this is just my opinion. This is based on a decade of training myself, watching some other people lift in competitions and so forth. But yeah, definitely this is just my opinion, and there's no actual proven best method to my knowledge of working up to a 1 rep max. So common mistakes I see, and this is mainly based off observations of people warming up at powerlifting comps, is that they do either too many sets or too many reps within those sets. This leaves them more fatigued than they need to be by the time they actually get onto the platform. Another common thing is that they'll take arbitrary jumps of nice whole round numbers, for example, 10, 20 kilos, rather than basing what jumps between sets on their 1 rep max. And then by the time they do get to the platform, I see a lot of people that open heavy, and what they're trying to do from people I've spoken to is that they're worried about missing their third attempt and sometimes even their second. And their theory is that they open heavy, their total will still be good even if they do miss their subsequent attempts. I much prefer to use my opener and second to set up my third attempt, as I find this is a much better way of actually hitting your third. So general rules I have for working up to a 1 rep max are that you want 6 to 10 sets in total. Typically the higher end will be if you're starting to throw on knee wraps, bench shirts or squat or deadlift suits. I normally aim for 8, but that can obviously vary depending on how you feel while you're warming up. Again, percentage based warm up. So every set I do is based on the 1 rep max that I'm trying to hit. Again, giving me the best chance of actually hitting it. And then I roughly divide how exactly what happens into building versus testing versus competition. So building would be if you're in training working up to a 1 rep max, for example, using the West Side method where you're trying to build strength while you're working up. Testing would be to set up a 1 rep max for a training cycle. And then obviously competition is when you're actually competing in a comp and you're on the platform. This is just a table illustrating how someone with a 100, 175 or 250 kilo 1RM would warm up to their 1 rep max based off percentages. So set 8 sets, yeah, all percentage based. So using the same percentages, but obviously with the different 1RMs, it ends up being different weight. In the brackets, in the 175 and 250 column, just how you would sort of practically load the bar, as I don't really expect people to get out 1.25s and often 2.5s while they're doing their warm-up sets. And then for a competition lifter or a competition lift, sets 6, 7, and 8 are what you're going to be doing on the platform. Now, going back to building, testing, and competition, these percentages are going to stay the same regardless of that. But what will change is the number of repetitions that you'll do in your warm-up sets. So this table just illustrates the different rep ranges that I sort of advocate for each of your warm-up sets. So for building in something like a West Side system where you're working up to a 1 rep max every week and the idea is to get a training effect, there's more repetitions both to increase the amount of volume that you're doing in any given session. But second, because you're rotating movement so often, you're going to need more repetitions to sort of feel out the movement and find the groove. Whereas for your testing and competition, which will be in lifts that you should be a lot more familiar with and a lot more technically proficient, you shouldn't need those learning reps while you're warming up. So you do less overall volume to leave yourself as fresh as possible for your 1 rep max. Now, I've got the rep ranges there, and then what I personally do in the brackets, and you can see 12, 9, 6, 3 is a decrease of 3 repetitions each time. This is pretty arbitrary and legitimately only because I like round jumps and shouldn't really matter what you actually do. Now, in training, you have the luxury that if you've worked up to your 1 rep max, you've hit a PR and it was pretty easy, you can just keep doing more sets and adding more weight. However, in a powerlifting competition, because you only get 3 attempts on the platform, you do need to be a little bit considerate and mindful of this. So for competition, if your training went just okay and you're looking to just set a 2.5 kilo PR, then basically you just plug in 100% as your third attempt and do all the warm-ups I'd sort of previously mentioned the way it's written. However, if training went really well and you're looking to hit more than a 2.5 kilo PR, I still like to have that 2.5 kilo PR just to make sure you get it, but I would make that your second attempt, and then based on how your second attempt went would dictate what your third attempt would be. So it might just be a 2.5 kilo jump, or if it was really easy, you can take a bigger jump as well. Just depends.